Hello, everyone. Mark and Veronna with Kardavox Academy. Hi, Veronna. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? I am stressed. It's tax season. You know, business owner.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work, but I'm excited that we are doing another one of these long form podcasty style reactions because it's been a little while since it's been like 2 months
Yeah.
since we did one.
2 months, yeah, because last month you were in Utah for the vocal study.
Yes.
So do you have any news about that? When are we going to see your beautiful throat?
Yeah, so that's good. So to anybody watching this if this is your first Kardavox Academy video, to give context to what you just pointed out, Veronna, basically, I am the person who specializes in deathcore and death metal vocals, and I do that sort of analysis and instruction. This, like, you know, like these types of sounds. And Veronna, you focus. Well, why don't you just tell them what you focus on?
Yeah. So I'm the singing vocal coach. So what they call in heavy metal world clean singing, well, it's just singing, you know.
It's just, of course, and
contemporary singing, yeah, more,
yeah, and been doing it for a long time. But yeah, so recently there's a YouTube channel called The Charismatic Voice, and they are basically heading and helping this large scale vocal study of extreme vocals. And I was in Utah getting poked and prodded and scoped. That means we were gone. We didn't do one of these podcasts. I had, electrodes in my neck, and I had I had a scope down my nose, and I was in an MRI. And but I'm excited to get back. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
what were you gonna say?
I was about to tell you, like, did you learn something about yourself, like how you are making your sound? Maybe you thought you were doing it that way, but basically it's another cartilage or something moving.
Yeah, so there are some things, and I mean this would be like a whole video.
Whole video, yeah.
But I will say there were a couple takeaways that I really enjoyed. Number one, when I do my really low, like, type of stuff, there's more epiglottal engagement than I thought. I know you know what an epiglottis is, but anybody who's watching, if you don't know, that's a piece of cartilage. Other structures that I had thought were involved are involved, so that part was right, but there's more epiglottal, and I had always thought that was certainly possible.
Wow.
And a bunch of vocal scientists with a lot of letters behind their name all agreed that my voice looked healthy. So
that's a good news. Yeah, we're gonna talk about vocal health probably today with the artists that we're covering.
Yes, exactly, because so part of the reason we're doing this Miley Cyrus video is because this is traditionally a death metal and deathcore channel, but Veronna, we wanted to expand that, and so you were invited to join the team, and I think it's been going very well. In fact, one of the most popular videos we've had in a while was you and I listening to Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars.
And it's crazy because at first you were not sure, like, I'm not sure it's gonna react well, and then it was a good success. It was a good analysis. And it was fun. So I'm glad that we react to some pop music again.
Yeah, I think that the audience was a lot more open to it than before. And also, there's a lot of music that I like outside of, like, for example, the pop fans that are watching this probably recognize that I have Mayhem back there on my wall because that album is amazing. Not Mayhem the black metal band, Mayhem the Lady Gaga album.
I don't see it.
You probably can't see it from your angle because you're looking at me. At me. I've got two cameras. See?
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, you can probably see. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so let's go ahead and let's get into it. So everybody who's 90% of the people who watch it have probably clicked forward anyway. But
let's just stop talking and listen to the song.
But again, for anybody who has watched the intro, these are long form vocal analysis style videos. We do pause, and that's because I'm interested. What we're going to listen to is outside of my expertise. Veronna, this is going to be very much your thing, so I'm excited to pick your brain and have you kind of explain some things to me that maybe I'm not aware of. Especially since Miley Cyrus's voice is wild.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I'm still going to have some questions because, but I'm never sure if it's healthy how she's singing. So yeah, we're going to have a talk about that.
We're going to discuss. Well, let's go ahead. Let's jump into it Miley Cyrus, Something Beautiful. Anything that you know about this song that I should know? Because literally, you yesterday, I think, or the day before, you're like, let's do Miley Cyrus. And I was like,
Yeah,
sure.
we're April 1st. So yeah, it just went out yesterday. So that's
Ooh.
it. We're gonna discover it together. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know the song. Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
No YouTube cut necessary. I'm just gonna push play. Here we go.
Tell me something beautiful tonight, until your lips turn blue. Said I don't wanna talk about it for too long. Baby, now I think I do. Why did a red wine gets in the deal time? Oh my, yeah. I'm watching the dust cry into the sunrise.
I'm gonna pause it there.
Yeah.
Which is probably a terrible place to pause it. So I already hear, like, in for any of the deathcore and death metal people who have decided to watch this, which I say that as if, like, a lot of my students also really love pop music. Like in our Discord server, there are a good handful of people that get really excited about new pop releases. So it wouldn't be that weird if but there's a lot that we can, strangely enough, apply to our harsh vocals. But I want to start with you, Verona, because you're in your element here. There are a ton of things I'm noticing about her voice. What are some things that are coming to mind for you?
I mean, I think she has not the typical pop voice. She has kind of a rock voice in a pop song.
Yeah.
First. So that's why I think it's perfect for the channel as well. Like, she has that little always like growl, not a growl. I don't know the good terms about this, but it's not clean. It's not clean.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, what I know about Miley Cyrus is she really gives everything she got. Like each time she's singing, it's like it's her whole body participating. Like her abs, her like, she's like, I saw her. I don't know if you saw that on social media. She was practicing her set running on the treadmill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's like, yeah, she has an amazing control. Of course, she's been doing it for like since she's a child. Okay. But we noticed that there was like kind of that pause in her career, and then she came back a couple of years ago and her voice was really lower.
Yeah.
Darker. So is it because she had nuts? Is it just because she's older? Is it because of the smoking? I know she's been smoking and drinking and a lot of things. I think she's sober now, I think. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that happened to really her instrument. So that's what I'm hearing. But what I'm hearing is like big chest voice, like her talking voice, but it's not just talking at that level that I'm speaking with you right now. It's like, like I'm about to die. Like she gives everything each sentence. So there's a lot of energy going on. When I teach Miley Cyrus to my students, like I get my elastic bands and it's a workout. Like we are working.
You know, the most interesting parts to me have been when she's lower, when she's not, you know, because there are some parts absolutely where she's leaning in, she's giving it that pressure and that power. But I'm finding the most interest in the spots where she's lower in her chest voice and she's more pulled back and reserved, because a lot of times, you know, this is something I run into, and I think this is true of any type of vocal student, is that the more reserved, I suppose, they get with their voice, the more boring it becomes. Whereas with her, there's a lot, she's doing a lot of things to make what is simple chest voice singing, although she's reaching quite lower than I was aware she was capable of. Because again, this is probably the third Miley Cyrus song I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's way different than
and
Party in the USA.
Very much. Yeah, very much. So far I like this one a lot better, but she's singing with like almost like an impassioned laziness. Now I know those words kind of seem juxtaposed, but like you can see in this video when she's singing, she's not putting a lot of space between her teeth. She's not really doing big like articulation. She's leaving that vocal tract kind of small and narrow. So it kind of like, if you've ever talked to somebody and somebody's having a conversation with you and they're kind of contemplative, maybe they're thinking about a new relationship or a new job or, you know, missing family, their voice may like kind of trail off in the distance and kind of, you know, the vocal tract gets a little bit smaller and it's softer. And there are spots where she's singing in that way. And I think this is such a good example of how, especially in clean singing, oftentimes the emotion and the delivery that we put on our voice is what makes it like, sure, register is not only important, but necessary. But the storytelling that she's doing, whenever I listen, I think maybe this is because of the type of metal that I like. I'm always, whenever I listen to pop, I'm listening to the storytelling that they're doing with their voice. And here I really feel like she's conveying a lot just with the way she articulates. And she did a little bit of what I think people call cursive singing. She said, tell me something beautifully, tell me something beautifully tonight. Right. Whatever the melody is.
Oh yeah.
That little,
you think, because it's funny, you notice how small her mouth was opening, and the first thing that came in mind for me is that it did not fit the sound. So I'm not sure, because of course it's lip sync, it's a music video.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure that's really how she was in the studio.
Maybe it looks like it.
We're never gonna know. And I mean, we'll see live, but she might hide her, she might hide her mouth behind the mic. Like, it reminds me, what was the song? Was it like Defying Gravity or Crazy High Belt song that was really... Anyways, I made a story on my Facebook page. I was really happy. I hit like a G5 or something crazy, but like my mouth was like that. And usually I hide it with the mic. Okay. So you don't see it. Or or like sometimes my tongue is in a weird space, but people don't know with the mic. And when I post stories or stuff like that of me practicing, I always get people like writing to me like, what is happening with your tongue? Or like, what is happening with your mouth? It's so weird. Or like I did that Bring Me to Life video. We posted it on the Instagram page, and there was people telling me like, you should watch how you move your mouth. And I was like, well, because my mic was the recording mic a little further than a stage mic, and it's like people are not used to seeing the real mouth of what we really need to do to make the sounds, because people in videos, they always lip sync. Even like YouTube live session in the studio, it's like most of them
what was that?
Most of them are lip singing, by the way. So I mean, she's lip singing right now. In my mind, you said like that she probably is not using a lot of power, but I felt it was not fitting with the sound. I don't know. I disagree.
You know what? This is long form vocal analysis. Let's watch it again. Let's watch the intro one time. Again. I'm going to go back to where she kind of starts singing. And I'm talking specifically about when she's in her low notes.
Yeah.
That's the area where I'm kind of talking.
Tell me something beautiful tonight.
That area.
Until your lips turn blue. Said I don't want to talk about it for too long. Baby, now I think I do.
You know, it's interesting because sometimes it looks like it matches and sometimes it doesn't. And both of us having been in music videos before, I totally understand what you're talking about. I feel like there are some spots where her mouth probably did look like that, and then
when in the lows and when it's not loud, but when we hear it's almost a shout. But it's okay because the aesthetic, like the camera is on her face. We wouldn't want the actual real position. It would not be pretty. I totally get it. So no hate comments, please.
No.
I totally get the aesthetic. We'll see when she's going to perform it live. Then we're going to have our answer. And I mean, it's okay. There's also like singers that are able to really resonate super well with almost a closed mouth. I mean, ventriloquists are a good example.
Yes, that's true. That's true. It would be interesting to eventually see a live version and compare, because I think in her lower spot, it's probably pretty close to accurate.
Yeah. I mean, there's no volume in her really low.
Yeah. As she lifts though, there are some spots.
It was the really high notes that I'm like, meh.
Yeah. Now that we're watching back, I'm like, even somewhere where it's like not the highest ones, just like she's approaching that higher space. Now there are some spots where I'm like, but again, to anybody watching this, we're not saying that this is bad. We're just talking about how music videos and studio performances are different.
And sometimes our students, they are so used to watching lip sync videos that when I tell them open your mouth, they're like, but it's ugly. I don't want to open my mouth. But I'm like, you're going to have a mic. Don't worry. Like, people are not going to see everything. But when you practice, you have to do those ugly faces. It's just, that's the way it is.
So this is one of the times that I'm so thankful to be a metal vocalist, because like,
you like to be ugly.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter to us. Right. Okay. Let's keep going though. I'm just going to play it from this point because I like the intro so far, but like those big like, look, she's clearly like trying to portray a certain emotion and a certain vibe. So if she was like,
the visual is amazing. It's so beautiful
video so far. I agree. All right, here we go.
Oh my, yeah, I'm watching the ducks cry into the sunrise. Flash, bang, spark, send home the guards.
Yeah.
Lay down your arms. And the great golden bone.
Oh, wow.
I'm losing my way, yes. I'm marking up my necklace. I'm losing my way, I'm confessing, I'm so obsessed, yes.
I have to pause it here, and I don't care if anybody gets mad. So, one thing she's doing. So there are a couple things I just want to point out that I don't know how far really we can go into them because they're very, very basic. She's doing something that I love in singing. I think sounds awesome. Some people have told me they think it sounds overused. I don't care.
What is it?
It's that little vocal break into the
the cry.
Yeah, the little the little, and it's like super light vocal cord activation. Just that little, I love that. And it's also one of my favorite sounds in harsh vocals as well. People who put like Johnny Davey, Job for Cowboy, things like that. And so it's cool to hear these sounds in different contexts. And it's interesting, we just transitioned from like what would
not expecting that.
Like now we're
expecting the song to go there.
Yeah, we're full on in like a rock song now.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, she's choosing a very like breathy, airy tone to accompany these harsh instruments. And it's a weird contrast that my brain is having a hard time wrapping around.
Breathy, or is just an effect over her voice? I thought it was just saturation and some effects, and then there's an octaver and
to me, I'm sure those things are there, of course, but I feel like
not sure if it's breathy.
I feel like her tone, I don't hear a lot of like chord connected pitch like phonation. I don't hear as much of that as like I would hear if we were to listen to like Killswitch Engage. If Killswitch Engage, like Howard Jones or Jesse Leach did this song, or like Spencer Sotelo from Periphery, there would be a lot of chord activation. It would be really powerful.
It's lower, and I mean it's more of a speech voice, like talking voice,
exactly,
with effects on it. That's it. That's what I'm hearing.
And
But
it's
yeah,
it's so like reserved for the power of the song. It's hitting my ear strangely, but in a way that I like. It's like when you taste a new food and you're like, what the hell is that flavor? And people are like, you don't like it? And you're like, no, I do. I don't know what that is, right?
I was waiting for the food analogy coming.
Always a food. You know, people poke fun at me for my food analogy, but here's the thing. Everybody eats. Not so everybody eats.
Can relate. That's true.
That's true.
So true.
But talk to me, like, this is obviously a huge transition into the song. What are some things you notice? What are some things that you're sensing here?
I mean, that's what I basically is like. Her voice is now with a lot of effects. There's an EQ removing the bass, and like the mid frequencies are really like a telephone EQ kind of. And distortion, saturation. I don't know exactly. I don't have the effects chain in front of me, but that's what I think it is. So, but yeah, you're right. She doesn't sing that much. Can we hear it again?
Yeah,
please.
Just
that part. Because it was a surprise as well. I was like,
yeah, exactly. And this is something as somebody who does vocal analysis of deathcore vocals, this is something you run into all the time as well, where it's like
effects,
dripping in effects, like 6 vocal layers, and people are like, what vocal style is he doing? And you're like, I'm listening through a lot here. But yeah, let's go ahead and listen to that transition again. That was really cool.
Or like the other question, how can I get this tone?
Yeah, it's like, well,
let's do 6 layers of you, and then I'm gonna put all the effects, and then we're gonna get it.
Yeah. Like, what's your budget? What's your budget for plugins?
What's your budget for music production and plugins? Yeah.
Exactly. Let's hear this again. Yeah, this will be interesting. Love that note. Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think no surprise. I think you're totally.
No, there's not an octave. It's not an octave, right? That's not true. What I said earlier. It's just another voice, not on the same pitch. Just doing like a something a little funny.
There definitely is. There definitely is more chord closure than I thought, though. So I think
like she's just talking with that voice, so little kind of. I call it the Britney Spears voice. I'm like, oh, babe.
Yeah.
Kind of higher larynx a little bit, but we're still really thick vocal cords. It's just not a belt, not pushing or.
Yeah. And I see my initial thought was that it was much more breathy than that, but no, on second listen, I think it's the effects for sure. And one thing I'm really, part of the reason I hadn't listened to a lot of Miley Cyrus songs before is because I wasn't like a Party in the USA fan, and like Wrecking Ball was fine, but it got memed so much. Like, it was kind of
so long ago.
Exactly.
During the pandemic and just before she released, already she was more into the 80s rock vibe. I love that era so far.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
But like that paired with the fact that my entire job is to listen to a lot of metal, you know what I mean? Sometimes more than I would like. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, how much more of this can I take?
Can I get the student singing Taylor Swift, please?
We've done it before back in the day, long time ago. She's got a lot. I think my favorite thing about her voice is not necessarily the technicality of the chord closure or anything like that, but I'm really loving the attitude and the character that she's putting on her voice. Like I'm having a hard time pinning down exactly what emotion I would call it, but not because it's not being performed properly, but because she's kind of hitting multiple spots, like confident.
Yeah, confidence. That's what I was about to say. I feel for the last couple of years, she just really like came back with that woman empowerment kind of vibe to her music and herself. Like I was really not a Miley Cyrus fan before, and then I am since the last 4 years.
It's there's a certain like this is
she's
not
badass.
yeah there's like that's the word. There's a badassness to her performance. And it's interesting. I'm going to preface this by saying this is not the right word, but it's the best word I can think of. I feel like there's almost like a little bit of a snarl in her attitude. Like, I don't think she's literally going, right? But like, I feel like if I were to see her perform this, I would see her like the bridge of, that. Like, that's sort of like that.
Oh yeah.
That sort of sound. And I think it's really creating like a very, it's helping her voice sound powerful when she's reserved. And then when she gets really powerful, like those moments, those rubber band moments you were talking about earlier, then it gets like, how hard is that? Let me ask you a question as our local clean singing expert here, how difficult is it? And I'm sure it varies student by student, to help them not just sing on pitch, not just move between registers, but put character on their voice, put emotion, because it's one thing to sing, like you can have somebody who's technically perfect and really boring.
Oh yeah. But like, to come back to with the attitude of Miley, let's remember she comes from country music. She has a lot of twang in her sound, and still has.
Mm-hmm.
She has like twang is the main. It's what's like linking all of her lows, her mid, her highs. There's twang all the time. And when you put twang in somebody's voice, automatically it gives attitude.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Like, let's say you sing I always say Amy Winehouse, okay? When you don't know what twang is, I feel Amy Winehouse is like pure twang.
Yeah.
Like, they try to make me go to rehab, but I won't. No twang, or almost nothing. They try to make me go to rehab. Okay, now I'm going to rehab for real. Like, but I said no, and instead of no, it's like there's no.
Yeah.
Twang sometimes can make the sound more ugly, but at the same time, it's cooler. It gives like the badass attitude you were talking about, because she has twang all over, and not just that, but so that would be the first thing, like technically, and then when my student is I would say intermediate, like as you said, no problem with the pitch anymore, or the rhythm and vocal techniques are well learned. Now it's just the emotion. Well, it's interpretation lessons, almost acting lessons.
Yeah.
Sometimes I tell my students, okay, here's your song. You didn't write it. So sometimes it's harder when the people didn't write it. I know I sing so much better my own songs now. But I mean, I've done a lot of covers before singing my own song. So I've done that work too. So you imagine if it was your lyrics, if I give you, I don't know, 200K budget, you've just been signed, and we give you a budget to make a music video that's going to represent you, but you have to do that cover. What's going to happen in the music video? Where are you? Who are you singing to? Like, what are you wearing? So sometimes I let them write. So each sentence, they're going to write kind of the scenes next to the... Yeah, it's a full exercise, and it makes all the difference. So like, okay, first scene, let's say it's a breakup song. And let's say my student just had a breakup like 3 months ago. So, okay, so I'm in my room, and then I see, I don't know, the baseball cap of my ex is still there, or whatever. So it was like, okay, shut on there, and then shut on, I don't know, maybe she's been drinking because she was sad. So, okay, the like bottles of beers in the corner. So like we have the settings, and so when you're going to sing, okay, you're in either you're at home or you're in my studio for your lesson. And basically, because you did all of the work, it's for okay, where am I? Who am I talking to? The student always comes back and sings so differently. And we didn't talk about the technique at all.
Interesting.
Just kind of the acting and the purpose of the song. Yeah.
That's a really smart way to do it, and it's one that I had, like, creating a scene like that I had never thought of. And I think that part of that, this is where my metal people might get a little irritated with me, is that metal vocals, as much as I love them dearly, and when I say metal vocals, I'm not talking like rock, I'm talking like slam,
harsh vocals,
deathcore. Yes. They're emotionally a bit homogenous. It's like, okay, what emotion are you trying to convey? Is it aggression? Of course. Are you trying to sound mad?
Happy?
Are you trying to sound mad? Okay, cool. And of course there is variation under this umbrella, but I think that this I think this is one of the things that, even though I will always be a lover of harsh vocals, I do sometimes wish was easier. It is possible, but was easier to convey in harsh vocalization, because she has a lot of malleability in her voice right now. She has a lot of room for these different emotions. Like, you know, she can put, here's what I'm trying to say. She can put badassness on a slider, you know, so she could be like kind of quietly badass. Now she's in your face badass. Now she's badass and kind of cheeky, holding back a little bit, and she can do that. And I think
continuum,
and she's doing it very well. And that it is possible in metal vocals, much harder. Let's keep going though. I'm hoping that this is a little clue into like a big like she could now, this is not going to happen, I'm sure, but she could almost take like this big hit vibe, rock vibe, turn it into like post rock, like this long 5-minute outro. She won't, but she could, and it would be amazing.
Maybe this is an intro to her rock era. I don't know. We'll see.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Here we go.
Yes. Tell me something beautiful, about this world. And I'm in your palm, I'm like a bird. Tell me something I can hold on to. You're who I belong to. A giant devotion, as deep as the ocean. So don't let me go, no, no, no. Flash, bang, spark, lighten up the dark. Boom, boom.
So interesting.
I'm losing my focus. It's popping at my chest. Yes. I'm losing my I'm so obsessed.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Wait a minute.
Are we getting metal or what?
Are we getting metal? Well, okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna shut my mouth. Let's listen to it one more time, because I gotta rein myself in. I want to hear this one more time. What a cool. I had things I want to talk about. Now I don't remember them. Let's hear that one more time, because that is wild.
The structure, like, is it a chorus or is it a bridge? It's like it's coming twice, but it's not that catchy to be a chorus. But she brings it twice, so it's like, okay, so that's the I love it. It's so different.
It is, and like that melody of again, hearing this first time, I can't sing the melody back perfectly, but the flashbang, like that sort of descending melody she has is interesting, and kind of there's a lot in this song that is. Tell me if this doesn't make sense, because I think it might not. But there is a lot about this song that is higher contrast than a lot of pop music seemed to be 3 or 4 years ago. Like, it is cohesive, it all works together, but I feel like when I listened to pop music from like, again, 3, 4, or 5 years ago, it all very smoothly and very beautifully
like moved. It takes you by the hand. Hey, this is our song. We're gonna make you walk through it. You know where we're going.
Exactly. And I feel you know, obviously we were just talking about 100%. Mayhem. We were just talking about Mayhem. We were just like, Mayhem does some of that. This is really doing that. And she's making so many choices that are strategically jarring. And that is such, like, would I call this a metal song? No. But that is such a metal thing to do. To, you know, not in a bad way, but to like shake your audience a little bit, like, hey.
Yeah. You know? Do you listen to K-pop?
Not really. No, not really.
They are like...
Do they do a lot of that?
Like one song, 4 minutes, you have like 5 songs in it. It's like... It's like they know we are ADHD and they just like change. They're like... compared to like American pop music, it's just like, okay, you heard the chorus, the verse, well, it's going to repeat. So we're going to...
Yeah.
It's going to repeat 2 or 3 times. Yeah, K-pop, it's wild these days. Like new K-pop... I don't listen to that a lot, but sometimes to get inspiration for my new album, like I wanted to do some, because my new project is really like pop groovy, some surprises, of course, but
sure.
My next, I'm already in the other one that it's not even like, you know, when you finish an album and you're already in the other one. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah.
whoops.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the other one I want to like really surprise more, so that's why I've been listening to K-pop. So it kind of makes me that like think about that, like, oh, you were not expecting it. And then okay, we come back with the beautiful da, 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 but with like another instrumentation and other effects on the voice compared to the intro that was really soft. And then oh, we bring back the again, and then the big scream. I don't know. It's nice. Let's continue. I want. Like, can we hear it again?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. We must hear it again. Let's go. Yeah. I think that's too far back. Let's go like. I
want you to analyze. Yeah, analyze her scream because it's not clean.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I. If I don't analyze this scream, are like.
Why are you there?
My regular audience is gonna be like, what are you doing here? Like, so let's go ahead and you know, screaming is coming into pop. Post Malone has been screaming live. Like Poppy, she really bridges a gap between pop and metal, and she has one of my favorite screams of all right now.
Oh, yeah.
And some people are like, I don't like her scream, and I'm like, just be quiet. Just go over there. Ugh.
I mean, you cannot be liked by everyone.
It's totally impossible. Normal. And they're just being naysayers. They don't actually have an opinion on her scream. They just don't like pop and metal getting together because they're blah. Anyways, yeah, let's go.
Oh no, flash, bang, spark, light up the dark, boom, boom. I'm losing my yes. It's popping out my chest, yes.
So, there's the thumbnail shot right there. Like that right there. That's gonna be this thumbnail. It's gonna be you on one side, me on another. There she is. Like that's perfect. So I'm just gonna be straightforward. That's a tough one to analyze because I think there are like a lot of effects on it. Right. I'm sure we have multiple vocal layers, but there are some things that like we can talk about. First and foremost, she is, to me, what I'm hearing, let me figure out how to say this, less of a like technical scream in the sense that like deathcore screams are very technical. Right. Not saying sometimes when I say that scream's not very technical, people like get insulted. I'm like, no, hold on. But what I'm hearing is a sound that builds on just shouting, right?
Yeah. I think it's just a shout,
And it sounds, and in fact, sometimes those are some of my favorite screams that are out there. Like you've got, you know, homie like Brian Garris, you know, from a band called Knock Loose. It's a lot more interesting than that, but it builds on shouting, right? You've got like people like Matt Honeycutt builds on shouting. One of my favorite, it's a 45-minute long EP basically that's like one track. And it's Born Again, Over Mars. And there's a woman who screams and she's just kind of screaming. And it's interesting because she was hitting like, her scream was hitting like this really high, shrill, like whistly tone maybe, place that really cut through everything super well, super nicely. So what I would say is that she probably just yelled.
Just yelled.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Like they were probably in the studio and they were probably like, now, did she utilize some of what she knows about singing and belting and support? Probably. But in the studio, I don't know how it happened, but in the studio, I would be comfortable assuming that there was a degree of them being like, just kind of, let's just do it once. Let's see how it sounds. If it's not that comfortable, you don't have to do it again, but let's just scream. Just go ahead, do a couple little ones. Yeah. That's the one. Okay. Let's track that. You know, it was probably a lot of
D or D sharp.
Yeah. It was probably a lot of that. And the way that it's mixed and balanced sounds really cool. And it's such a weird choice. again,
Heavy. It's
strategically jarring. Yeah, this is like this is not a metal song, but it has really metal vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Really fascinating. Really, like
I love it.
Well, like this is kind of like a interesting time because slowly metal and pop are starting to merge. What are your thoughts on that? That's a broad question, but
I mean, I even did it. I told you my last concert. We had like my pop disco song, and just for the show, we did a metal arrangement. So I was singing the exact same thing as usual, doing riffs, or kind of, and then I'm doing my high belt, kind of a scream, but it's on the pitch, and that I do also in the pop version. But my musicians were like, dur, 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 like with and syncopation, and the audience went nuts. So I'm like, and I was talking about that with friends this weekend. One of my best friend is working in AI. So she loves AI because she builds AI basically. So, and I'm like, they're gonna, and we have like those big conversations about me just being kind of against AI in music and how they're like, they just steal. But at the same time, what I was discussing with her is that it's going to force us musicians and artists to come up with styles that don't exist. Yeah, so like mixing, and it's always been like that, like mixing styles create a new one. You know, like jazz was mixing classical music and blues. We had jazz. And a lot of people don't know of that, but that's what happened in the history. Like there was like rich people from Europe, black people, or how do you say, like from white and black parents. So they were darker, but they were rich. They had a classical education. They come and then whoop, segregation. They're with the poor people who were playing blues, and then they get together and they create jazz. So it's like super advanced. So that's how history of music has always been. So if we want to beat AI, we're going to have to come up with like really niche new styles so that the AI is not going to be able to do it as good as us. Because it's really that AI, how my friend was explaining it, it's like a little kid who just keeps learning, makes mistake, learns, makes mistake, and then whoa, gets better and better.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while for AI to create disco metal songs or pop metal, or it's like stuff that combines so many elements. But they know how to make good country. They know how to make good like blues.
Yeah.
Like those styles that are they've been there for so long. They have it's really precise. And I don't know did you try to make an AI song? It's scary.
Of course. I did. Absolutely.
It's scary how sometimes good it is.
It's funky. Wow, you just talked about the AI and the history of jazz in America. What a Pandora's box. Those are two very controversial subjects. And
sorry, you can cut it in the edit.
No, I won't, because they're relevant. They're relevant. It makes sense. And like, yeah, there's those.
I mean, jazz is like one of my favorite styles. So
exactly.
I that was my field of study. I studied jazz singing and jazz music. So
yeah.
It's nice that she's mixing styles. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's nice that she's mixing styles, and it's nice that she's doing it. You know, sometimes too much fusion causes confusion. But I really think that this works very well. Let's go ahead and keep going. I'll be real. I thought that this was going to be a song that I could appreciate, but was not going to enjoy. That happens a lot. But so far I legit think this is pretty cool. Like, this is compositionally really interesting. what on earth?
Oh, that was so sick.
What?
Loved it.
What on earth? What a, the
Uh, th- th-
like. I'm just gonna throw out bullet points of everything I'm thinking, and then I'm gonna let you do most of the talking because this is your arena. Like, really strange production on the voice, so far behind everything, so tinny. Saxophone, amazing, playing over her a lot of the time. That's not what I would expect from a pop song. Outro that feels highly improvised. Just a bunch of like, now obviously if I listen to this a bunch more times, I could probably find the pattern. I could probably find, but like a bunch of like just squeaky, like, but it like was really cool. It was very like messy, but in a very like, it was very messy, but in a very, very meaningful way. And that's just another thing that makes, even though again, like maybe this song doesn't have like the gutturals and the like heavily distorted guitars and the blast beats. Sure, it doesn't have all those like actual Legos of metal, but like the strategic messiness, just as somebody obviously being in metal, that's what I'm going to hear first. Of course, that exists in other genres, but the song just has metal vibes. Like the vocal production is the main, her behind the saxophone and her behind a lot of everything else. I was like, that is not what I would expect, but I really liked it. Tell me what you're thinking about that outro, because that was wild.
Yeah, that was wild. That was really wild. I mean, and at the end, she was more in a position that I think she was really singing, even if she was lip syncing. Like,
yes,
you could feel her legs getting in the ground like a tree. Like, so she was so grounded, and her whole body, her back, her arms, like she was taking, like it was shaking in her hand, like, like, because she's really, her energy was similar, like a live performance when you belt so intensely that you need your whole body so to help, so that it's not just your vocal cords. I really love that. But they put her belting like da 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 da, one octave higher, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But so low in the mix. But like, by the way, just so you know, guys, I'm sure it was loud AF.
That's I'm not gonna. That's, I want to put a pin in that because that's a question I have for you. But anything else you were going to go? I just wanted to mention, I have a thought on
it
that.
Was what of course, it was kind of messy, but I feel like that song could be the end of a show, you know?
Yes.
Like she did all of her hits and then she finishes the show like that, and it's kind of a messy part, jamming, and she does ad libs, and then everybody gets crazy, and then okay, bye. Then that could be like, or an encore or something, or the end of a show. Like it would be, I saw shows like getting into this kind of style. At the end, and it kind of sounds like that. I loved it. And it was not the structure of a pop song. So for me, in my books, that's not a pop song at all.
Yeah.
No, that's a rock song.
Yeah, I would also call that more of a rock song for sure. But, as we've talked about, pop is a big term for a lot of stuff. That's so maybe this is where pop is going to be in 5-6 years,
Exactly. Pop is changing. As I told you, like, listen to K-pop. It's like,
it's wild.
Also,
I think,
and that's a good thing.
It is
a good thing.
I think it's, I think it's one of the things that makes pop an interesting genre, is that, like, all genres change over time, but pop really seems to change over time.
But pop, what you have to I hate it when people say it's a genre. It's not a genre. Pop is what's popular right now. It all depends of like what's happening in the world, what generation we are in. Like in like early 2000, pop was like Green Day and Evanescence was pop. Is it really?
Yeah.
It's not pop. It's just that there was a movement of like rock that, like, younger people were really into that, and the other way, on the other side, there was also the big R&B artist at the same time. That was pop, but now it's not pop at all. And then it turned, like, sometimes pop is more rock, pop is more R&B, pop is now maybe pop is going to be more metal. I don't know. But it's just what's popular right now. And it's not a style. Like my teacher, we had a class when I was doing my studies in jazz, one of my class was called stylistic. So we were really learning all the styles, different styles, and what makes country, what makes blues, or what makes I don't know, all the other styles. So, and when we sometimes the answer was pop, because like when we had quizzes, because we were just like, what is that? There's like a guitar, a pedal steel, but then there's like that type. There's a jazz. This is from the jazz. This is from, and then there's a reggae beat. So we were like, eh? And then the answer was just, it's pop. It's just like they made a hit. They took a bunch of different style, or it's kind of a wannabe reggae song, but there's some elements missing. So poof, it's pop.
Mm-hmm.
Like so sometimes my teacher was like, pop is just you take a style, you remove a couple of stuff, and it's pop.
You know, maybe it's better. I don't think this is. I also like. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but maybe it's better to think of pop not as a genre but a category, like a descriptor, a very wide descriptor. But I would agree. Like if somebody was like, Mark, what genre was that? I would call it a rock song for sure. I think I would too.
Yeah.
My only criticism of this song is that I want that outro to be 2 more minutes. Give me long outros.
Give me more.
Everybody's writing all these amazing outros. Like that outro was such a cool part of the song. And like, don't make me listen to I get just you know, give me release an extended version. You know, maybe if she ends a show with that, she would extend the outro to like keep those vibes up.
Yeah.
So I had a question for you, because this is something that comes up for me somewhat frequently, and maybe it comes up for you. A lot of her volume in that song, we know about this, is very normalized.
Yeah.
Right? We've got compressors, we've got normalization, and so I have not been giving clean singing lessons. Like sometimes a student and I for like 2 lessons will do cleans just to calibrate, but like primarily I've not been giving, well, not since you joined on, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But one thing I would run into a lot with clean singing lessons, but a lot with harsh vocal lessons, is that people who are unfamiliar with audio production will hear a scream that in person is really fairly quiet, and then another scream right next to it that's very loud. But in a lot of audio production, we do that.
Of course.
And so how often do you run into students who get kind of confused and maybe self-teach bad habits because they think that a quiet voice is on the same level as a belt, or vice versa?
Yeah.
How often do you run into that?
All the time. So I always have like my little speech. Of course, I mean, I'm kind of lucky because most of the Kardavox students, I mean, it's online lessons, but they have kind of a home studio. Most of them are geek in a good way, like I am. Like they're gonna record themselves, and they know a little bit about music productions. And sometimes we do lessons and they record themselves during the lesson. It's kind of a vocal session with live coaching online. But otherwise, my students in person, I have my little booth. You see it in the background. And when it happens, like when we are just practicing like that, I'll tell them that part, it's going to be loud. Don't listen to the audio. It's been put down. And that the other part, it's head voice. It's going to be quiet. It like Adele is the perfect example of how difficult it is to have the Adele sound without cheating. Without, not that it's cheating, but like without the compressor and everything.
Yeah.
Because she does like head voice, really falsetto, then mixed voice, then lower vocals and big belts. She does it all like in one song. Sometimes in 3 sentences, she's going to have so many volume changes. So this is like the perfect like example to practice on it. And I teach a lot of Adele. I love Adele.
Sure.
And it's really popular. And so what I do, we basically practice behind the mic. The difficult part is not the soft parts. Usually for my students, they are not, because they're not shy to be soft. It's less like it's mostly the belting parts. They are shy to be loud. And so when we record, they're gonna hear themselves, and it's kind of a shock because now it's not just the the voice in the room, they're hearing themselves. So what I do is I put the compressor so heavy, like sometimes 4-1 or 5-1. So when it's just a setting on the compressor, and when they're gonna belt, it's gonna bring their voice down, and that's usually when my students do the best belt. Basically, they don't hear themselves too loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they do the soft, it's going to be higher, so they don't have to push. They're hearing the beautiful voice, their beautiful falsetto and everything. So I basically teach with those effects. It's part of my teaching. Yeah, that's way different from most of the teachers.
I was about to say that is very interesting, teaching with effects live.
Yeah.
That's a lot to chew on. I don't think it's like my initial thought is this bad. Well, it's interesting too, because I'm trying to think, when I played Germany in October, there were live effects on my voice.
Did you have at least a compressor? That's the main effect that really does a difference.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't look at what they had up there, but it sure sounded like it, So yeah, there are really no contexts where I wouldn't have vocal effects on my voice.
Exactly. I mean, we're not doing opera anymore. Like it's the only style you're not going to sing with a microphone, and you have to be louder than the orchestra or the pianist with nothing. That's really the only style. Otherwise, you're going to have a mic. And if there's no compressor, I also teach auto compressing. So basically, we're going to use the speakers. I have another part of my room. I have speakers, and then we plug a mic. And then when they belt, I tell them you have to be further. And then when you're So I think that's the most complicated, but we really have to practice it, because if they go in the karaoke bar or any cheap venue, it's not the best quality like you at the festival, or bigger gigs or studio equipment. Most of the gigs are not going to have a compressor, so you have to auto compress yourself. So when it's soft, you stay really close, and then you have to adjust. So this is a bigger training, but I do that also.
That makes a lot of sense. That's interesting. Last thing, and then I will have run out of things to say. We expected to
it's been an hour and 15 minutes already. I think we're good.
Yeah, but people like the long form.
Yeah, that's true. I love it too.
Yeah, the only other thing is I thought we were going to talk a lot about vocal health today, but we really didn't.
We kind of
I didn't. Well, I didn't hear anything that I hear. Again, I'm not super. I hesitate to make any distinct claims because I'm so unfamiliar with her voice. But to me, knowing a little bit about her history, knowing that she did have, I think it was Ranke's edema, like a swelling. That? It's like a fluid-filled swelling that you can get on your vocal folds, and she did have vocal surgery for that. I'm pretty sure. Again, I'm not a Miley Cyrus expert, so if I'm getting her confused with another vocalist, please in the comments feel free to correct me. But I hear a voice that may have gone through some tough times. But if we're talking pure technique in that song, I didn't really hear anything. I did a reaction to Post Malone, and there were a lot of things where I was like, hey guys, I don't know about some of this, but I didn't really hear much to point out from a don't do this perspective. Did you hear anything?
I mean, the only thing, because I knew a girl in a band I was in a couple of years ago who had kind of that similar tone, and I don't know if it's because of nods and kind of but it's there's always a little raspiness, but it's beautiful. But I remember she was telling me she was always she was telling me, I'm always trying. I do my big notes like I'm about to poop. That was her technique, and a lot of pelvic floor, pushing down, and I think it does. I think that's what she's doing as well. Miley Cyrus' sound is heavy, but she's in shape. When I tell you she's doing her show on the treadmill, that's how in shape she is. So that's why she's able to sustain this heavy sound. My students who want to sing like Miley Cyrus, I'm like, okay, but you're gonna give everything you've got, and more. It's it's not the little jazz gig in the lounge in the lobby or something.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that makes a lot of sense. And, oftentimes I think people hear vocalists as a monolith, as a silo, and it's like, to me, and this is just a guess, a full on guess. I may go on Google and I may find that I am totally wrong. But from just what I'm hearing in this song, to me, it sounds like she may have had a lot of bad technique back in the day. Maybe some drugs, maybe some smoking. I have no idea. I am pretty sure she had vocal surgery, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. But at least it seems like she's maybe come away from that and trained her voice a lot better. And that's what I hear. Like maybe there are some results of some damage back in the day, but like, I don't know. I do hear what you're saying about that belt. It's interesting to me that you talk about that student like pushing down and like that, because
I was not a student. It was another professional singer with me, and she was like a CrossFit athlete as well. She was super in shape, and that's how she could. And she was doing all the rock songs in the band. Like she really had that, but she was like, like everything was like super. Yeah. It was a fight, during the show, and it's like she was sweating, and me, I was like doing the more pop song. It was like la 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 la. Not the same vibe, not the same energy, and two different techniques. And sometimes when I was doing like more rock stuff, I was she was really inspiring me to like, okay, I'm there. And then like you cannot go halfway. That's just what I mean. She has a good technique. It's just like the heaviness of her sound, because sometimes I have students, as I was telling you, they want to do that. Well, you cannot be sitting, no energy in your body and make that sound. It's not going to work.
There is a certain weight that you need in the voice to get to like really make rock tones convincing. That's true. I use a lot of that like heavy pressure sensation, but I mostly use that in my harsh vocals with my vocal cords not touching.
Yeah, because your clean voice is pretty soft.
I can get pretty belty for sure, but even when I do my big belts, like because I do a lot of, especially in like we released 2 new singles. There's huge belting.
Not soft in a bad way. I mean, it's pretty clean.
No,
it's not as like
Don't worry, I wasn't. I would agree with you. But even when I'm doing like my bigger belts, this is just because it's what's comfortable for me. I don't use a lot of that downward pressure that I use for because like if I do something like like that, like I got some pressure, but my vocal cords are when I'm doing my like higher belts, which I'm not going to do now because I'm not warmed up for them at all. Yeah. And it's way less my expertise, I'm more focused on creating a lot of space and having it feel open and comfortable. Because again, this is me personally. And I think that some of this has to do with my acid reflux that I have a lot of. But if I try to add weight through that downward press, my vocal cords don't like the way it feels. And so for me, I'm not going to take my personal experience. I mean, that's bad for everybody, but knowing my voice and my own body, it's like, I don't really want to do it. Sometimes now there have been times in the studio where for one take, I'm going to do it that way because it sounds good. But, normally anyway,
you need 2 days of rest after.
No, thankfully not that bad. No.
Okay.
Sometimes in the studio, I will do a scream that is maybe not super 100% perfect and safe, but I would not perform it that way. It sounds cool on the album. I do one take. We're good. But anyway, I'm just rambling. So,
but it was an amazing song. I loved it.
Really good. I'm glad we did this. This. I think it was the right choice. So go ahead. I think you've gained a pretty strong foothold here on the Kardavox Academy channel. But just in case, go ahead and before we wrap up here, go ahead and tell people where they can learn more about you and hear
because you do publicity,
you do your own personal stuff and everything. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, we're both vocal coaches for Kardavox Academy. I teach singing, so if you want to learn how to belt like Miley, hit me up. We have the link in the description below. You can choose your coach. You can choose either Mark or Veronna. And you can also do a program like we have students that they do a mix of both. So they do harsh vocals and clean singing. So you can do also that. And it's been a year. I think April, it's officially a year since I'm with you guys.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think it's been about a year.
And I'm having fun. So I have a lot of, I think you made a playlist with all my videos. So if you want to check my solo analysis and almost at least 25 videos so far.
25.
Slowly but surely. It's not 300 yet, but I'm getting there.
It's not me where I have like, literally hundreds. And you've sort
Wow.
of inadvertently found yourself as our resident symphonic metal
Oh yeah.
person.
I mean, you've. It's funny because we have like a group chat with you and the other teammates, and they send me songs of metal, but I don't usually. I mean, I know metal, but it's kind of a big discovery journey for me. So it's really fun. Each time I'm doing a reaction, it's a real genuine reaction.
Yeah.
Like I'm really discovering. And so far, I would say yes. I think my favorite has been the symphonic metal. Maybe because I come from, as I said, a classical background as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the big arrangements, and they kind of sound like movies and musical theater, but then the rock metal way. I love it.
You know, it's interesting. I didn't listen to a lot of symphonic metal, but now, because of your videos, you know, and you know, usually we have somebody who edits her videos, but sometimes I have to edit them, and I'm editing the video and I'm like, hey, this is kind of good.
Yeah, you're learning.
I'm like,
it's really good.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, wow. Yeah, amazing singers. I've been discovering so many beautiful voices, and and I was telling you, I'm releasing my first French album because I didn't say I'm from Montreal, Quebec. That's my accent. That's where it comes from. So my first album was in English a couple of years ago. Then I'm doing my first French album, and my musicians, like I love funk and R&B, disco, soul. Yeah. So it's more into that style. And my musicians love it too, but they are Metalhead. So when I told them I'm working for a heavy metal channel, and they were like, "Oh my god, so excited!" And then when I told them, "Hey, for the show, like we should it's gonna start funky and soul, and at the end we're gonna turn heavy metal. Are you with me?" And they're like, "Oh yeah!" So the next practice, they made the charts, all the arrangement was done. I was like, "Wow, amazing!" So I think my third album, it might be heavy metal.
Yeah.
Soul, I called it disco metal just because it's a funny mix. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's in your future. I know it.
It's really inspiring. Yeah. Thank you so much for your trust. I'm glad to be part of the team. I love it.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a good time. And if anybody watching this is inspired to sound like a sludgy toilet bowl, that's what I do. So
and you also released your new project.
Yeah.
Album.
Yeah, Kardashev's the main musical gig I've done. We have 2 singles we released: Reunion and Seed of the Night. And album coming out next month. So
woo! Exciting. Are you doing a tour? Don't know yet.
No.
You like to be at home.
Well, I have a toddler. I run a business. If I it's not
online concerts. Maybe we could do that. Like you could print
time zones. No? Yeah, maybe a festival. Maybe a festival would be cool. But with that,
stay tuned.
We both got busy afternoons, so let's call it.
Yeah, I have a student in 15 minutes. Okay, I have to go.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, see you. Ciao.
I almost didn't do my sign off. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.